Ladies and gentlemen, after a brief break from doing the podcast, while my wife and I traveled to Colorado, and Meredith traveled to Dreamland for her birthday, and we actually, I'm gonna admit I'm a little slow because
I gotta mention my story really quick before you get going.
Okay.
I tore my contact in half. I'm really sad about it. And so now I'm wearing glasses, and I'm part of the ring light in the glasses.
That is a cover story. The minute Meredith actually never had contacts, but the minute she turned 40, she started needing glasses.
Oh yeah,
to show that time has passed. Because when you're doing a time traveling television series, which this basically is, you gotta be like, oh, that's Meredith from the future because she has glasses. Like I'll have the Mr. Fantastic gray lines there. That's how you'll know that I'm in the future. I think I saw one or two in here. I think it is actually. I am gonna go gray there first, which is gonna be great.
Temples is usually one of the first spots.
I've seen a lot of people where it's just all over the place. It's not handsome.
Eh?
Well, yeah. And I mean, it is.
Mine's really cool though. If I could grow mine out, it's not quite all the way there yet, but once it is, I can grow mine out, and it's gonna be see-through white, crazy.
Yeah,
it's really neat looking. So
Alexa's just kind of got these Tulsi Gabbard, the female president in the X-Men future, streaks kind of.
Yeah, I see.
Her gray is kind of cool. And I've also seen it was on The Nanny as Mr. Sheffield, whoever that actor was. He was also on Mad Men as something. He had a nice little English guy pompadour, and he just had the gray Jay Leno thing. Mm-hmm. Jay Leno actually, the way he went gray is he had black hair with the white spot, and then it just circled around until he just had a black spot, and now it's all white or whatever. And me and my friend Brett would always say that's how we know the little black spot's how you know Jay Leno is evil, because Bill Clinton
sucks pretty hard.
Bill Clinton had the gray pompadour of truth and justice, and Jay Leno had the gray pompadour besmirched by the black spot of evil and piratical deeds. I don't know why, but we thought Jay Leno was a pirate when we were in middle school. That makes sense to me somehow.
Might be.
But yeah, we're all getting older as we travel mostly to the future through time, although occasionally the past, and occasionally to past lives. Sometimes I get nostalgic for things that I don't think ever happened. I'm starting to wonder if
there's a word for that.
Yeah, I've been being reincarnated since before whatever humans used to be, came from somewhere else and colonized Earth. So it was just getting a past life reading, and it's there's two suns. Were you watching Star Wars? When was this? No, that never really happened. But I wanted to start this episode off somewhat in regards to my travels recently, and I want to make a disclaimer. I am an elitist, but I am an intellectual elitist. Okay, that is the only kind I am. Not I come from fairly miserable poverty, as we both do. I have no pride for the way in which I look or who I'm related to or what patch of dirt we came from. I care not for any of that. But, I obviously have the thing where it's what do I get out of being smarter than everyone? A headache? It sucks. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to be a big dick about it all the time. That's my little prize. Because it doesn't really get you that much money or anything. It's just kind of hey, congratulations, you figured out how everything works and how you can't do anything about it. It's just much clearer to you. It does give you that touch of elitism. And also knowing that it is a box to be checked, that, I'm literally in that thing that the guy in Nazi Germany said. I was first they came for the gypsies, but I wasn't a gypsy, and so I said nothing. And then they came for the intellectuals, and I wasn't an intellectual. I said nothing. And there's more people down the line, but ooh, I wouldn't have made it past the second thing, that. I would have been rounded up probably, because I'm not smart enough to keep my big mouth shut. That's the one thing where I fall off. But I have to say that I have to give myself a little bit of ire here, because I discovered something upon my trip to Colorado recently, and today is a bit of a red letter day. What are you doing? Are you
It was bothering me that you weren't lighting it, so.
Well, I got distracted.
I know.
As I do. But no. So look, I've traveled a lot before, right? And I really have to preface this thing I'm going to launch into, and boy, is it going to be a thing. But I've been like leaving the state to go on tours as a musician since literally 2001. First show in Des Moines. We're leaving to go. And then like since then I've been everywhere like 10 times. And I've even watched places change over time. Places like Denver. Denver in like 2005 was kind of sketchy. And it took a while too. It was a little sketchy even after weed was legal. I was there sort of like early in those days. Mm-hmm. And it was still like, there was neighborhoods that I was back in this time. And I'm like, this is so much nicer. And before anyone accuses me of having some sort of like weird, like, oh, you're just used to it or you're having fun because you're on vacation. I'm an old man now. I am an old man. I'm 42 years old. If something used to scare me about an area or something and now it doesn't, it definitely means that it got better because everything scares me now. I'm a homeowner. I'm
Seriously?
old.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I don't like the look of those teenagers over there. Like now I understand Grandpa Simpson better than ever. And I understood him kind of.
I hate that. I miss being a dumbass 20-something who wasn't afraid of jack shit, who would just like walk home drunk from like northeast to downtown by her damn self.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I would never let you do that now if I was there to say anything, and I certainly wouldn't let Alexis do that. And you wouldn't do that. And yeah, that's the thing where I'm like I used to get mad when I'd like park my car to go to the park, and some like old gray-haired lady would be like, "You can't just park in front of my house." Of course I can, but like now like someone does that here, and I'm like, "Who the fuck you think you are taking up my like?" There's an other side of the street by the park. Park over there. The fuck are you doing? I'm like, "Oh, I have opinions about where people park now," and that's so. I just want to derail the idea that it's like, oh, you were just visiting, you just think it's better. It's like, no, I automatically, if it had stayed the same, I would think it's worse. See what I'm saying? So if I feel like it's better, it got fucking way better. And
just wait till you get old, naysayers.
Yeah,
just wait
naysayers.
Till you get old.
Or people who are my age and don't know what I'm talking about. Wait till you get a little less dumb.
That might not happen.
I know, but let's wait. Anyway, let's just wait and see. Yeah, and, I just, because, it's like some people will go to Florida, you know what I mean, on vacation from here, and they'll be like, I want to go to Florida, and it's just because it was warm and you were in, like, the tourist part. But if you're actually going to, like, live there, like, there's going to be people, like, accosting you under a bridge, and, like, you know what I mean, like, wherever you end up actually, like, finding somewhere to be, it's just this swampy, hot, scary mess with like no rules.
Miami, like, because that's one of the areas I was in.
I mean, Miami's like, kind of fun, but to visit, especially if you like cocaine.
Yeah, sure.
But if not, then yeah, maybe not. So
I really wasn't, doing cocaine when I was 12 with my, aunt,
I think that's
grandpa.
Perhaps where you went wrong because you would have, if you really let that Florida culture soak in through your sinus membranes.
Ugh.
You would have, yeah, no. I mean, Miami is like another planet. But I mean, I'm just talking about people that go to like vacation Florida and go into like they're in like a pink motel by the beach. And they're just like, oh, I want to like live here. But you're not going to be a beach bum. You're going to be, like a data entry person at some medical thing.
You're going to have to work and you're going to actually have to deal with the actual real Floridians. And they're terrible.
Yeah, you're going to be living very far from a body of water. It's going to be way too expensive. And you're just going to have to, like, drive, just, like, climb over everyone's kids. Like, it's going to be terrible. So, I know what vacation eyes are, and I don't have them. I've been to the nice parts of places on, like, a trip, and I've also been to the worst parts of everywhere on tour, because that's just where you always will be. There's not a lot of concert venues around here in the nicest part of town. Like, look where the Triple Rock was. Like, it's just not, it's like, oh, you want to live across the street from there, huh? Like, yeah. So, you're in a rock and roll band. You see the gross underbelly of everything. You realize it is a little different when you're kind of, like, going there at your leisure or whatever. But nevertheless, Denver's one of those places where I've been going to for one reason or another so long that I actually have a pretty good data set mentally on what it's all about. And here's the thing about that place. It is kind of nice now. It's kind of nice everywhere there. It's not perfect. There's homeless people downtown. There's things like whatever. And I, again, I wasn't like going to work or anything, but we were kind of we were like downtown in the weird suburbs. Like we went to all these different crazy things. And like, here's what I learned while I was there. Minneapolis sucks. A lot. Like, we used to be kind of cool. We like going to somewhere that, look, Denver is basically like exactly like where I live, except for everything is nicer. That's the literal only difference. And there's mountains, I guess. The weather's better, but it's just nicer, and it shouldn't be nicer. That's what a normal place should be like. And, you know, it's got all the same stuff. It's like the same size city. It has all different kinds of people there. I'm going to cut some of you off before I get a little further into this. But my God, I've never seen such an obvious sort of like, an area that has a little bit more money and they've put more of it into like education and stuff. Oh, when everyone has more money and they're a little bit smarter, it sucks to be there less. And it really flies in the face of some of the shit that I've heard around here, particularly getting involved in like local neighborhood government stuff, where it's like, you know, people, you'll be like, yeah, it's like everyone's doing a little bit better. They're in shape. They have a little bit more free time. They do a lot more walking. They wear clothes that fit them. They're not so fucking rude. I'm going to get into that. And whatever, and you'll get blowback. You'll be like, that's elitist, or that's a very Eurocentric. It's like, you know, it's valid that some people just want to live in a tent in your front yard, and you should go to jail if you tell them to leave. Like, that idea, which is a big thing around here, has made this place just fucking absolutely suck. And then, like, everywhere... Now, there's places worse than here. This is not the worst place in the world. I am not saying that. I am comparing first world country to first world country of Minnesota and Colorado. I'm not counting the South. Anywhere where education is even more spat on is the shittiest place in the fucking world. Like, you know, all your Alabamas and Floridas, as we mentioned earlier, like, absolute fucking garbage dump. Anyone that gets an education just can't stand it there and they leave. It's a thing called brain drain. It actually happens. Like, we're just like, anyone that would have any sort of ability to make their area better just goes, fuck this, I'm out. It's too shitty. Now, Minnesota doesn't have that problem because we're not as bad as all that. Like, but, you know... I do think that trying to make things nicer should not be looked at as regressive or like whatever. And, you know, you don't get there through the iron boot. You know, you put everyone that rattles the cage in jail. No, but like, you shouldn't just go like, oh, why? Like, I really feel like, and again, I was talking about starting a new YouTube channel solely about propaganda, and I'm not going to go off on that right now, but like, I almost feel like there's a propagandized element here that is in service of all the stuff it pretends to be against, right? So it's like there's people here that have this idea that if something isn't perfect, then fuck it. Like, it's not the perfect candidate, then we're just staying home. And blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, this isn't an A+, so let's burn it all down. And the problem with that is that I used to, and I've made this on this podcast, and Meredith and I have talked about it. It's like, you know, we were like, yeah, you really think like, oh, it's not perfect, let's burn it all down, but you won't survive that Mad Max world for a second. You know, it's always so like, why are you just like letting the bad guys win because the good guy's not good enough for you or whatever every single time? But then I realized that's never even going to happen anyway. It doesn't burn down. It just kind of seeps into this plodding along malaise where you lose human rights. Like, every election you stay home from because you're like, it's not good enough. The person doesn't check enough boxes. They said something fatphobic in 1991. You stay home and then you lose another human right. And it just keeps like, oh, unions are illegal now. Like, but it never burns all the way down to the ground. You're never going to start this communist hippie farm and just restart society, which you wouldn't be able to handle anyway. But we're never going to get there.
I do have a little theory of what happened to Minneapolis, and you may not agree with it, whatever. Well,
more than one thing definitely happened, so I'm willing to, know.
I mean, here's something that I noticed, and I think fucking Frey had a lot to do with it.
Uh-huh.
The gentrification of certain areas have created these pockets of, well, where more crime tends to happen because you have, you know, people with less income, whatever. So it's just kind of like almost leaked everywhere because they've just like torn down a lot of what made Minneapolis special. and unique, and have put these like condos in, like people are gonna just come up from the suburbs and like decide to buy a condo, in the middle
or
of
the people that are already there are just gonna like get on the job bus to go to Jobtown and pick a job off the job tree and just afford their big high-rise condo.
So then what it is, it's just created these pockets of neighborhoods where the crime rate is just skyrocketed, and then it leaks into other neighborhoods, and now here we are. It's like there's no affordable housing, there's nothing like that. So it's like the city just went to shit because they tried. Because some rich little fucking snot-nosed whatever thought he could come in and, make these, like, little... I mean, it's all right to fix up a neighborhood a little bit, but goddamn...
Well, here's you're actually... I don't disagree with you at all. Here's the thing. That pockets thing, that's the problem is like, the snot, it's like, it's always a one-off thing where someone gets to decide to like, they're going to fix this thing up. But there's no overarching policy that makes it so that like that works better. And by the way, 100% shit like that is possible. Now, I do like to make fun of like kind of the fucking like, there's nut jobs on the right and then there's some fruitcakes on the left. And I make fun of the fruitcakes as well. And I make fun of them when I'm like, you should let homeless people live in your yard or you're a fascist. Because there's people out there that talk like that. That is not a caricature. However, the thing that you're talking about is actually the other side's sort of like deregulation of things. They don't make any rules about like rich people getting allowed to develop certain shit while not allowing for certain things to happen around it. Like, oh yeah,
hey, and we want to get like what's fucked is like these places that are being built aren't even owned by people in Minneapolis.
No, they're not.
Like in other cities.
Or so like countries, which is a big problem in a lot of places.
Yes. So it's like, what do they care?
They don't. That's one of the reasons.
They don't even know where they're building.
Well, one of the big things about the whole American economy falling apart and the whole political thing being a thing, and this is too much to get into, but it's that like they're, but like real quick, the day-to-day business on the ground in the street here like just doesn't even matter anymore. It's like, well, you got to make sure that there's like the supply chains are good so people can have food so they can go to work and make you money. It's like, yeah. All my money came from, I just developed some real estate and then just some Saudi prince bought it to like park their wealth in and no one even lives in these buildings. Like, and then I got mine and fuck you. And that's where the money comes from, or some weird tech thing in some other country on the other side of the planet. And again, I'm not like a nationalist. I don't care. But the reason that and that's the problem too, that rhetoric where you're like, when you bring that up, they're like, what are you, some kind of America First nationalist? No, I don't give a shit. But the thing is when the people in charge know their money isn't even coming from the ground floor where we live, it just comes from somewhere else, we could all just go fuck ourselves. Like, and that's why all that rotten policy of like, oh, we're going to just gentrify certain... Okay, and this goes with what exactly I'm saying. If Denver is a lesson to be learned here, if you're going to gentrify a city, you got to gentrify the whole thing. Like, you can't just do parts of it and be like, cool, I made $3 million off of this deal. Now I'm just going to go live in Vermont or somewhere. Like, and just collect all that money. Yeah, like, because, again, nobody... And this is kind of a big thing. Like,
well, here's the problem.
Nobody lives where anything's happening. There's houses in these neighborhoods.
If you gentrify everything, John, where are the people that can't afford the gentrified place supposed to go? Where do they go?
No, you gentrify the whole thing, including the job market, including everything. You put things in place. The whole thing. You don't just build nicer houses and watch everybody move to Alabama because they can't fucking afford it anymore. No, that doesn't work. And they literally, like, everything pays better there. Look. Shit, I wanted to get back to what I was saying real quick, though, about something about... Oh, right. Just a real big thing is that the people that decide how things go, that have all the money or whatever, we all used to be around their ankles and we could bite them. But now they're just like, they're Zoom calling into it. And it's like, it can all burn down. And it is, it is definitely a side on both extremes of the spectrum because, like, yeah, it's a problem for people who are like, well, you put money into the businesses and whatever. It's like, yeah, but it all just goes away. Like, it's not a business here. It's Walmart. All the money just goes somewhere else, and it only comes back in the form of, like, minimum wage jobs. And so it's like it's just the money just leaves. There's no business really happening. And that's a softball version of that. And then on my side of the mountain a little bit more, the people that are a little bit annoying are always like, well, when crime finally gets bad enough, they'll have to do something about it. Who? Like going like, oh yeah, we're not going to prosecute people for Grand Theft Auto anymore. And then they'll see that it's just so bad that they'll have to fix everything. It's like, they don't live here. Like, they absolutely, all the people with any money are just, oh, Minneapolis is on fire. How big of a problem is that? Like, it doesn't matter. You actually have to just take the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, slow and steady wins the race approach, because the whole fucking city could burn down. What happened in 2020? Like, everybody got sick and Minneapolis burned down and everyone who was rich just made more money and your life sucks. Well, you just keep doing that, expecting it to be different this time. Well, this time they'll listen.
Because all those fuckers had insurance, so
yeah, they insured their money, and like all these people like figured out ways to sell things. It's like literally you could like hold the fucking city ransom with a nuclear bomb, call their bluff, and blow it up, and somebody somewhere got richer who isn't you. We're all dead, and someone was like, "Oh, my nuclear bomb insurance paid off." It's like, cool, that guy bought a new yacht. You really showed them by throwing a rock through a window, you useless retard. Fuck you. But the whole thing, I'm just tired of it. It's so obvious that it's like just bitching on the internet and even setting a fire in your area. Like, I love a good razzle dazzle. I love that all of Paris burns down when they do a shit. But that's the thing. The whole country gets together and like the people there,
I think they're actually rioting now.
They are.
We're like,
they know how to do it. But yeah, like just kind of being like generally just raising hell and just fucking like and going, let's let crime get worse because that'll teach them. It will absolutely not. And also eventually the only way that gets better is the exact thing we don't want. We're like regular on the fence people start going like, okay, I am very much getting tired of getting carjacked on the way to Dunkin' Donuts. Like, let's see, who are we going to vote for? Oh, the guy with the little mustache has a real good point about getting rid of all these people. Let's go for that. People are real susceptible to that shit. It happens a lot in history. Sometimes it happens real big. And that's the only place that just like, oh, let's... The fixing it by letting it get to worse attitude is huge around here, and it leads to that. That is what it leads to. It does not lead to anyone seeing their errors of their way, like the fucking Lorax just like came out of the sky in a Dr. Seuss book, and they're just like, oh, you're right. This is it. I'm tired of rebuilding this AutoZone. Here's union and healthcare. It's just like everything. No, it doesn't work like that. And the reason that I'm just... Colorado has been doing things, and it's taken years. And I will say this. I will say that, like, I think, the weed's a good step here and everything. Now, we should have done it earlier because, like, Colorado made a shit ton of money because, like, they did it pretty early. So all those tech companies moved there. And again, that was rough because that did price people out of stuff. And again, as I said, I was there post-weed a few times, and there were some places that were, like, real scary. And we were in, like, the area around Casa Bonita was, like, pretty frightening. We were hanging out in the parking lot there. It looks like that part of Richfield that got all nice by my parents' house, where instead of just being, like, a gravel pit and, like, like I don't know, just nothing. It's, like, all of these, like, My Burger and, like, massage, like, yoga things. And it's, like, it's just, like...
I noticed from your pictures, Casa Bonita looks like... before... like old pictures of it, like maybe when you guys were on tour, like there was like a bunch of just like trash around, like in the
the episode of
completely
in the episode of South Park they show it's like when they pull up to the parking lot to like go there, on the other side of the street there's like a coin laundry with like a broken window and shit. None of that is there, and by the way, I saw that place in real life. It's so funny, like being a part of cartoon history. But like none of that's like that over there anymore. And that was like one of the crappier. And somebody's be like, there's still parts that are bad. Yeah, of course there are. And again, like we stepped over some people on the sidewalk when we were actually like downtown. Like that happens. And that's like a thing. But then there was just like brunch moms stepping over the homeless people too. And I'm like, I'm not saying that that's good, but it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, it's not like, oh, and then if they stab you with a fentanyl laced shiv, the cops are going to look the other way because like they don't want to be classist and actually like arrest someone that's hurting you because they're unhoused or whatever. Like, Seattle or Portland or here, it's
here
just
not so much.
But here's what I love. This has probably earned me no I don't know if I really pleaded my case well enough to get everybody to like me, but I also don't really care. And here is what I want to say about it. Has nothing to do with the broken windows and the coin laundry shop. It has nothing to do with anything. When I was there, and again, there's just all different kinds of people there the same way there are here. But I swear to God, like the feeling in the air was different. And I'm serious. I mean, like when you went to the mall, like nobody like walked into you. Like people were like, they were in better shape.
So less tension is what
there was less tension, but it was like people were so much less rude. And I don't mean one-on-one, like, oh, someone was a little bit rude to me. Like I didn't like the way that they just conducted themselves. Like they like watched where they were going. They stayed on their side of the hallway. They were usually like smiling and talking to each other. They wear clothes that fucking fit them. There was way less people that were super out of shape. People had kids there and they didn't bother me. Now that is wild because like we would go to like a hip bar or something and people would not have brought their kids there. Here, there has been like, and I kind of haven't been doing podcasts as much, but like, you know, we went to like this place that's like, it's in Robbinsdale and it's like a date bar. It's like they kind of have like nice upscale bar food and they'll make you like a real martini and whatever. And like somebody just had like 3 out of control kids just running around like it wasn't like that Chinese
so
place, but it was like
in a bar,
but everywhere. Like everywhere we go, it's like, well, we brought our kids. It's like take that shit to Applebee's. But here's the thing. In Denver, I noticed there'd be kids where there was kids, like in the mall and stuff. There'd be a play area, but like you went to a bar, there'd be no kids there. But then also 3 different times, and Alexis noticed this too. Like a kid had like kind of ran away from the little group they're in, and their parents was like, "Hey, get back here! You can't just run away." Like they would sit there and like discipline their kids. And when I say rude, I mean people here are just beyond inconsiderate. Now that I've had something to compare it to real quick, people here are fucking stupid. They're inconsiderate. They're just shitty. Like they just. Like, everybody, I don't care. Go to the Galleria. Go to where all the rich white people are. They're rude as fucking shit in the same way that some people would kind of only claim certain people were. But no, it's just everybody. Like, everybody just wants you out of their way. They don't fucking care. Their kids are going to, like, run around and throw shit at you. They're not even going to yell at them for it. They're going to pretend it didn't happen.
Face.
They're going to cough in your face. They're just going to, like, leave shit all over the place. They won't talk to you. They're just fucking bizarre. We went to, like, kind of like a world... I don't know, it was like World Market Square type things, so there's like a bunch of food vendors and then like some cool like shops that had like some hippie stuff. But it was like, it looked really nice. It had that like, you know, modernist industrial like look to it. It was all clean and uniform and like there was like a big bar in the corner called Roger's Place, and I'm almost positive they named it after Roger from American Dad, and it was amazing. And like there was a guy that we got macaroni and cheese from. And like and this happened like more than once, but this is just the best example. Everywhere I went, I got chatty as, like, I was more in my element. Like, I would just talk to everybody that worked everywhere. Like, here, it's, like, kind of weird. Like, yeah, okay. And then, like, you know, sometimes you get lucky, but whatever. And they're like, no, the potato skins are really good. They're just doing their waiter, waitress job, whatever. And I'm picking on the service industry, not picking on it, but because it was so different. Like, the 20-year-old guy that was giving me my, like, green pork chili macaroni and cheese, you know, weird artisanal crazy shit you can get. It was delicious, by the way. I was like, oh, do you have a, like, it looked like they just had an iPad. I was like, do you take cash though at all here? And he's like, oh, we absolutely do. There are parts in the city that, there's areas where there's like lawsuits going on because some places don't want to take cash. And I'm like, oh, I kind of heard about that. There was like a Starbucks or something. And he's like, yeah. And it's a way to like try to keep homeless people out. And I was like, oh, I never thought of that.
God,
like it's a way because they don't have credit cards and things. And I was like, oh my God, there's always a second layer to shit like this. And he's like, yeah, there definitely is. So they're trying to do a thing to like not allow that or whatever. It's a constitutional thing, but it's going to take like 10 years because you know how the fucking Colorado Supreme Court is blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hang on a second. I'm having this conversation with the 20-year-old kid that's selling me macaroni and cheese. Like, it was like talking to like someone 20 years older than me at my like complicated job. Like, and it happened. That was just a fun example, but like we're just talking about like state politics and like the secret motives behind things, using complete sentences, not just kind of like, thank you very much. Like, And the guy was like in shape and everything. It's like, because I'm willing to bet that place, again, you got to gentrify the whole thing. I'm willing to bet that paid him enough to actually live somewhere half decent and not just be like antsy and being awake at night from gunfire all the time or whatever like that. That person could not have conducted himself like that unless he was pretty calm and well taken care of and like sleeping at night and stuff. Like, there's no fucking way. And everyone was fucking like that. And the line, and this is the big thing. I want to get through this and then we'll take a breath. But everywhere I went, I chatted with people a bunch, and everyone else in line chatted with them a bunch. And that line went 3 times faster, all of the chatting included, than any line here. Like, everywhere was stocked, everywhere was staffed by people that seemed like they weren't about to kill themselves. Like, and that's the thing. Your theory of the miss, which I think is probably better than a theory, the sort of the like lopsided, non-oversaw kind of random gentrification that's just everybody's little ROI scheme, you know, like, it's like, that's what happens when there's like laws about like, okay, if we're all going to do good, you have to pay your fucking employees. There's like rules here.
Just real quick, I wanted to make a very fast point of when I lived in Washington, I also noticed out there too that people that are in the service industry or whatever actually were a lot more talkative and friendly than they are here in the Midwest. Or Minnesota in particular. I get people just tend to be more direct.
There's some cultural stuff like that. Like, people in the South are chatty even when they're poor and stuff or whatever. Like, and you know, it's a different cultural. Yeah, Minnesota's weird. I'm just telling
you, I totally get what you're saying, because when I moved to Washington, it was, you know, at least everybody there was like really nice. I mean, trying to make friends out there, forget it. People were flaky as fuck. But like, you know, if you go and get a coffee, they're gonna be very nice to you.
And I mean, though, like, I was talking to other people in line to go to Meow Wolf, and like other people I went to Red Rocks to see Chromeo, and I'll tell that story once I get done with my, again, I'm not being some sort of like class elitist or whatever now that I'm doing slightly better or whatever. These sunglasses have nothing to do with it. It's just that Mara's wearing regular glasses and I had to stand out.
Well, I'm definitely not classy.
I know. Poor. And I'm not actually doing that good. I'm just really good at projecting it, like just taking pictures rolling around in the rental car, which is a Tesla. And then you might be like, well, John, maybe like that was just your experience. You were going to all these nice places in your electric car and all this shit, and it's like you were just experiencing that. And I'm like, that may be true. Not in this case, I don't really think so. But even again, as someone had mentioned that, I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe being rich is just nicer. But the thing is you have to be very, 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 very rich before everyone around you being really scary and shitty and poor, like, doesn't affect you. Like, you have to be, like, living on a rooftop pool in Dubai before you can just go, like, I don't care how crappy everyone where all of my real estate investments in Minnesota is. Fuck it, I hope they burn down. I'll collect that insurance money, as we said. Like, I'm over here. Like, I don't give a shit. It's like, I'm getting ladyboys imported from Thailand to my fucking tower in Dubai, and it's just like, you know, there's another riot in Minneapolis. Like, oh, well, unfortunate. Like, yeah.
Or where?
Yeah, what? Yeah, you might know where some of your investments are, but it's like Indianapolis. I guess one time I saw Combi Christ here, and they kept calling us Indianapolis, and everyone was...
Aren't they from here?
No, Combi Christ? They're from fucking Norway, which is the story I'm about to tell.
Oh, that's
He was
funny.
like, hello, Indianapolis, and someone was like, Minneapolis. Like, we're from fucking Norway. I don't know. And that was actually really funny, so...
Why did I think they were local? Ugh.
Because you've heard of them, and everybody does that. It's like, aren't you from here? Like, no. Like, everyone thought Blue Felix was from Michigan because we were huge there. Or S&B was from Florida. Or, you know, it's just a thing that happens. You know, Combi Christ is from, like, Northern Europe. Like, they're, like, a techno band that would play in the same venue as Dimmu Borgir or something. Mm-hmm. A Norwegian black metal band. But, yeah, like, there's all these things, there's all these facets, there's all this stuff, there's all this, like, corrupted data and whatever, and I hurled a lot of accusations. I was all over the road politically. I was basically, like, a lot of my tirades are now like a 5-year-old in a bumper bowling lane, where it's just kind of like, who are you mad at? And then I miss all the pins. Like, that's just my political discourse. But the point being is that a true thing that we know for sure, like, we can point fingers about what went wrong here, but one thing I do know about where I was visiting is that they actually have policies that sort of like rein in some of the out of control thing. Like it was very baked into their whole thing when weed first started. Kind of like how they're trying to do here, and I applaud that. I like what I'm seeing here lately. I do want to amend that too. Just the 2 years ago and stuff, it was like
fixed
slowly.
It's
just annoying that it'll be like, by the time it gets better, I'll have paid the house off enough where I have the option to move somewhere else. And I'm like, well, just please get it together a little before that to help convince me that I don't need to go anywhere.
I don't think it's going to change, like, the way that, like, people act towards each other, though. Which sucks. Like,
well, and you can't vote for the weather. And I do love a nice arid climate, and that's never going to be here. But we have water, so that's important. There's a lot of, by anyone that thinks it's going to be fun to move to Nevada in the next 10 years, I don't really recommend that. That's going to get a little Mad Maxy. But, you know, the Minnesota culture is one thing, but I mean, I think the Minnesota culture is to blame for, like, the high, like, when the people in the Galleria are kind of rude, but then some of the, like, just, you know what I'm talking about, like, people who are just insanely rude and gross that, like, you're like, okay, guys, like, everything's hard, but Jesus Christ, you have to take it out on everyone you see everywhere you go all the time. And, like, you know, when we worked at the same job, like, some of the people I'd interact with, it's like, do you need to be this fucking just gross? Like, fucking get it together, man. Like, I don't know. Like, culturally, it's like the edges will never totally round off, but I think the meat of it could be a lot more like, oh, yeah, when you focus on education and on making sure that, like, you can't just have this runaway, like, Florida-style, like, investors versus minimum wage people, like, living, like, block by block, and it's just completely, like, asymmetric internal economic warfare. Like, that needs to go. And, again, the reason I was like, okay, I'm not being totally elitist, and I'm not being a Eurocentric fascist when I just say that, like, places where everyone has money and is better educated are nicer to be in. And there's someone out there right now that might hear me say that and just think I am the new Hitler for suggesting that, like, just letting people run around on the streets stabbing each other with fentanyl needles somehow isn't great.
Like the data shows that, you know, you're kind of right. I mean, like,
well, of course it does.
Texas is like, oh my God, can we build a fucking wall around that state?
Well, no, Texas is like, the stuff going on in Texas and Florida right now is a whole other matter. It is like a testing ground for what the fucking GQP, like the real whacked out, like, you know, post Ruby Ridge is one thing, and now that we're in the end game of that, and, like, it got all the way to the White House, like, it's like they're gerrymandered to the point where it's just like, it could be like 90% of the population wants something, and it's like, yeah, well, too bad. It's like, we all think that women should be, actually, like, you know, we know this, like, as far, you know, it got into the Supreme Court, like, all of the statistics and everything show that it's like a majority of the country believe in, like, some form of, like, abortion should be, like, necessary, and, like, more than 50% of actual registered Republicans are like, well, there should be something. And then, like it's like 78% of the country thinks there should be at least some kind of abortion, and we don't get it because, like, well, Minnesota, again, a reason to stay here is because of the recent things where they've been codifying shit into law the right way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I've kind of mentioned it before, and it's like, again, perfect is the enemy of good. Is fucking Waltz perfect? Nobody fucking is. But, like, do I like him? Yeah. Do I like the fact that he signed a lot of things that I agree with? Way more things than just the weed thing, but he also did that. But it's like school lunches for kids. Like, yeah, starving kids are going to carjack you.
I'm kind of annoyed that he went back. Like, I don't want to get into this too much, but I kind of annoyed that he went back on his, like, thing about where he wasn't going to fuck with vapes and whatever.
Well,
and now he's doing a thing where it's like,
that's kind of gotten, the pressure's come way off of that, though, again. Believe me, I know.
You're in that business.
But, like,
'cause it's like, I know people where vaping has, like, literally saved their lungs and lives. Like, yeah, it's not perfect.
What I've learned from work, the missed opportunities of the people that sell those things to, like, fight those laws because they just, like, stuck their head in the, I shouldn't say stuck their head in the sand but my boss was talking about how like all of the other guys that he knows that have tobacco shops and things. Like he was like, we so easily could have gotten this whole community together and gone like, this is racist. And like and just stomped out any of those vape ban laws because of who it affects the most. But that's the thing. That's what he brought up. He's like, people like, that's kind of specifically racist towards, it's a long crazy story, but kind of racist towards black people. Like,
well, yeah, because it was marketed towards that demographic, and now it's racist.
A lot of Middle Eastern guys own tobacco shops and things, and the big tobacco companies who are fucking notoriously evil are the ones behind all the vape bans and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't want...
Well, they've lost so much money.
Well, yeah, because, like, and again, I've heard the whole story. It's like a lot of guys came over and import roll your own tobacco or hookah shisha or whatever, and it was like so much cheaper than buying cigarettes. They were undercutting people, and then they were the first adopters of the whole vape thing. And so it's like, when you really look at it through that lens, it is racist. And it's, well, money. It's a little racist, it's a little money. But the thing, at least with our society nowadays, if everybody would have banded together and gone like, this is fucking racist, they probably could have killed the whole thing. And then, as my boss says, like, a lot of them would just look at him and be like, well, he has money, like maybe he'll just use one of his lawyers to do it. Everybody just pointed at somebody else and didn't want to get involved. And he was like, what the hell? Like, I was willing to, like, if everyone was for it, I would have jumped right in there, but no. And it's why I like talking to him every morning, because I hear stuff like that. He gets as mad as I do about, like, it's like, hey, I would have been willing to do this with you guys, but no, you just let someone else do it.
Well, here we are. How was Chromium?
It was really good. Hang on though. Was there a very last piece? How did we get on the vape thing at all? Oh, Waltz. Right. This is what I was going to say.
Oh,
so,
sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah. This is where I was going with it. So, like, yeah, for better or for worse, that guy. And then you were like, there's bad things. I'm like, sure. There's some stuff with, like, the nurses' unions and things, but it is also, like, you got to play ball. I don't know. I'm not a governor or whatever. But when he was making the announcement or the signing or whatever about the weed thing, he brought Jesse Ventura out, and he was, like, speaking with him and stuff. And they were talking about how, like, Ventura was like trying to like get weed legalized. Like, we would have been like the second or third state to do it if he had his way. But of course, it
probably second because Cali was California.
Yeah, probably. And I think like it was like stuff that he did that kind of led to us at least being. We've been a medical state for like a long time, and that's.
I don't know.
Well, whatever. Anyway,
I spent so long since he was governor. I don't.
No, I know, but
I can't.
But seeing him and Waltz talking, I was just like, I would love, because like, again, a lot of people hate everybody that's not their stupid thing. But there's a lot of like, there's a shocking amount. It's why he keeps winning. Middle of the road, maybe even kind of rural people that are like, he was a teacher. He's a good guy. I like him. He's got the best intentions, and he is. He's actually like not just like the grandson of someone that like owns stock in Raytheon or Lockheed Martin or some shit. Like all these fucking people. Like he's got a little bit better of a pedigree. And so like, and everyone
comes from a humble background.
He comes from a humble background, which is very good, I think. And then also, Jesse Ventura was just this guy that everybody loved for being like a weirdo, and still love. It's so funny. Like everyone's just like, hell yeah, Jesse Ventura.
I still
like,
remember his commercials.
He was the best, and he's still around, and he's still like, politically like young enough where I would really love to see Waltz run for president with Ventura as vice president. That would be the fucking.
I'd vote for them.
That's the thing. Like. That exact lineup is just so cosmically perfect. Even if you don't love it, you're like running against some fucking nut job like DeSantis or Trump or somebody. But it's like Mr. Rogers with a wrestler as his running. It's like people are gonna be like, yeah, but like all those dimwits that were like, well, I just voted for Trump to shake things up. It's like, you want to shake it up? Let's have it against the guy, Mr. fucking flannel shirt with the guy from The Predator, just running out a ticket together, being like, we're gonna fix everything. We're gonna, it's just like, it's the perfect level of wholesomeness and insanity in just this beautiful Oreo cookie of votability that I for one, on this podcast right now, I'm throwing my weight, presidential, can't be 2024. Because it's too soon, but the next one after that, 8? Damn. 2028, Waltz and Ventura. That's what I want. Waltz and Matilda with Ventura. That would be that. I think that's something we could all get behind, and probably some wild stuff would happen then. All right. So anyway, I will now talk about going to Red Rocks, which I went there during the day once, and there's nothing there. It's a beautiful fucking venue and area too. Like you drive. Like, the area around it, like, it's kind of out there. It's actually, like, not that far from the city. It's kind of, like, weirdly convenient, but... So it's, like, this big venue. It's in this natural, like, rock formation amphitheater thing on, like, the top of this, like, mountain, basically. And, like, there's all these hiking trails, and people just kind of, like, wander around it all the time. And, like, there's always, like, winding roads. And, again, in the nature of what I was talking about, everything was, like, well-staffed with, like, friendly people, like, because there was, like, you know, you got to gentrify the whole thing. And they'd point me where to go, just like flying around in the Tesla on these roads, like just looking at just the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen. We saw lizards and things, and there's like multiple parking lots, and we went to the south lot that apparently not as many people park in because you kind of got to drive through the little town. But Alexis didn't drink, so it's like aha. That's why a lot of people don't go there because they got to like drive through like where a cop sits in the one intersection or whatever. Sure. And we're like, oh yeah, we're immune to that. But yeah, it's like the altitude's really high. Like, I can't. Then I don't need to show you pictures. Just look up photos of the Red Rocks National Park around it, and then it itself and everything. And it sounds really cool. But yeah, we got seriously winded walking all the way up to the top of it. But yeah, it's like being in Labyrinth. There's just stairs all over every which way. But there's just like there was no lines to get food or beer, even though it was sold out because there's just so many places. And again, everything was run really efficiently. I will post a picture somewhere, but I saw a raccoon climbing up one of the rock walls, like a big fat raccoon the size of like an English bulldog, like just like in Aliens or something. And I was like at a beer stand, and there was like the rock wall was like just kind of like house wall distance maybe over that way. And I just saw like behind Alexis almost like a bug crawling. So I was just
oh my God.
So I did what I never do to people because I hate it, but it was a natural reaction. I just saw it and I was like, what the hell is that? And she like turned like when Bernard saw that chihuahua on the road. And she's like, what? Oh, like at first she was like, Jesus, don't do that. Oh my God. And then all these people were taking pictures of this fat raccoon just climbing up the fucking wall by where I was getting pizza and beer at. And yeah, we were third row center, so it was like, it's weird when you're that close, it just feels like you're watching a bar band on like the back patio pavilion or something, because you're just, and then you like look behind you and it's like this like big 45-degree angle of people. Sure. And the seats are just like benches. The only annoying thing was that there's two annoying things. One, it was like a co-headlining thing, and the band before them was this thing called Hot Chip that I just do not care about.
Oh, yeah.
And it attracts wooks. It attracts like annoying festival dumbasses, and I had one right fucking next to me. Like, you've seen this before. I almost slugged this guy. Alexis ended up yelling at him, which is pretty funny. But it's like, they were like, he just had his elbow in my face, like, just like, yeah, like while we were sitting there during like the opening band, like, and it was a little squished, and he's just like, I can only enjoy it by just feeling it. I'm just like, as I've said to you, feeling it. As I've said to you before, there's nothing more than I hate than just people having fun in the moment. Like, it's the worst thing in the world. Like, they're just, their elbows and their hands are just
there with you.
In your fucking face, just like, they're just right next to you, and then they see the bass player from their favorite emo band. They're like, it's right in your ear. Like, that is right in my ear. And then they look like you've wronged them by harshing their little buzz.
Ever live in the moment. What the fuck is wrong with you?
No, don't be having fun in public. Like, well, and it's like, I was enjoying it, but I didn't have to be like, yeah. And then, like, I just, like, there was a really great opening band. It was some, Afro-Cuban funk thing with, like, a huge, just, like, brass section.
Okay, that sounds cool.
No, that was great. And I was sitting there watching them, and he was already, like, getting too into it, though. I was like, I'm enjoying the shit out of this, and you're, like, really getting in my space. Like, and there was, like, no one else. It was assigned, but, like, you just had to get right there. You couldn't just space out and then wait for it to fill in and be like, okay. And then... So I was like, oh, God, this guy's going to be... So the thing after him was just, like, two chicks doing a DJ thing. That was, like, the worst... That should have been first while people were filing in. That funk band was fucking smoking. And then these things called, like, Coco and Vandy or something. It was, like, these chicks that, like, sell sunglasses. Like, when I Googled it, it's, like, music was on, like, the 10th page. They're, like, they sell sunglasses in New York or something.
Oh, my God, maybe they're the writers of Dear Asshole.
Maybe. That makes a lot of sense. And it was just boring. And then, like, the guy next to me was getting into that. And I'm like, oh, you motherfucker. And then Hot Chip comes on. And, oh, my goodness, isn't this so exciting? It's almost like seeing...
touched his soul.
Almost like seeing Wookiee Foot in person. Oh, my God, it's so good. And, like, just... But anyway, that's the story I was telling off camera. But, like, he, like, eventually just spilled beer all over me. I almost punched him. But I was
now that I know everything else, I thought it was just like the beer incident, but now that I know he's...
No,
like,
and it wasn't like a metal mosh pit where you might get covered in beer and stuff and you don't care. It was like I was getting cold because it was like kind of seated, so it wasn't like the warmth of the mob or anything. It was like a desert night, and I'm like, fuck, concert. I thought it would be a little warmer, and it kind of got rainy later. I mean, the weather was a bit of a thing. And they're like, no re-entry, but I go running that thing that like Alexis had an asthma attack, and I almost did. Going up to get in, I had to go like con the kid watching the door to let me re-enter, run out to the car. I did put my tracksuit in the car just in case, but it was in the car.
Oh,
I just assumed like maybe for like later. And I went and changed. Then the kid, like, this other guy was there, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And I had to, like, explain the whole thing to me. I did have a wristband. He's like, there's no re-entry. It's like, dude, I got beer spilled all over me. I was shivering. I either had to go to my car or go to the emergency tent and then say that you didn't let me out. But then the guy came and was like, no. He said I told him it was okay. He's like, all right. I'm like, fuck. Yeah, so it would have been hard to get a hold of Alexis. So I talked my way in. And at this point, I'm wearing my white bucket hat, white shoes, and my burgundy tracksuit. People are, like, stopping me in these glasses. And they're like, you look really cool. I'm like, well, thank you. I didn't try.
I am really cool.
These are what I use for my pajamas normally. They're just warm. But then, yeah, like, that guy had his, like, girlfriend with or whatever. We get back to the seat, and, like, Alexis, like, switched spots with me so she could yell at him. And she'd be like, can you scooch over? It's like, she's like, well, we're just like feeling it and whatever. And she's like, I want to be in the seat I paid for, okay? And they're just like, like, what's your problem? then I ended up back, yeah. Oh, I could have squashed that kid like a bug. Like, that would have been such a fucking awful, like, I don't care if he knew jujitsu. I would have just snapped his arm when he tried to put me in a hold. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that if you're good enough at that kind of thing, like, size matters not, but, like, he was such a skinny dwingus that, like, I would have been like, I'm going to put you in a hold. I would have just been like, I wouldn't even have done it right, but I could have just taken his shoulder out of its socket like he was just a wiener. Like, and I don't know if he was an MMA guy or secretly, but I doubt it. You never want to pick fights in public because someone always might be. I had a feeling he wasn't. But anyway, she's like, don't do that. Whatever. Then it did start raining, and they actually, like, delayed everything. Of course, all the bullshit happens, and then Chromio goes on late because it's, like, outdoors, and it was, like, it doesn't rain there that much, so they're like, what do we do? And, so, like, I would try to go to the bathroom because I was just going to, like, hang out in there for a while till the rain went away, and I had to pee, but I was going to linger. And there was a lot of bathroom space, so, you know, it wasn't, like, as crowded, again, as an awful, poorly run thing here would be. And
or you have to hang out in a biffy.
But I got, just in a biff. But I got herded into, like, the special VIP handicap people rows. Like, they were getting put backstage, and I was, like, trying to go to the bathroom, and the security, I was like, nope, I'm like, okay, so I go, like, back, so, like, that's where I got that picture that I put where I'm just standing next to Chromio's amps and stuff.
That's how you got that.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
And then somebody, I was standing next to this guy working there, he's, like, a pretty young kid. And I was just talking shit with him, but that's where I was like, I talked my way because I just didn't bring it up that it was weird. I didn't say anything. I just started chatting him up. And then we were just sitting there like...
You're in your tracksuit.
Yeah, just like watching him like set up, whatever. And then like I was texting Alexis because she had gone to go get like rain slickers that they were giving out. So we'd have those. And then she's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm back here. I'm like, oh, I got to, I kind of turned, and then this older lady that was clearly in charge was like, what is he doing back here? I'm like, oh, I'm just, I got to go get my wife. She's like, you can't be back here. I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm leaving. Like, I did that thing, like, when I snuck a beer outside in Kansas City, where he's like, you have to leave that here.
Bust you.
And I turned, funny. Well, it was only as I was leaving, because I turned around, and she was like, didn't recognize me from the other people. Because I was very much, like, doing this, just kind of talking to the kid the whole time, so, like, you couldn't really see. And then as soon as I was like, oh, I should go look for her, I just saw her perk up and be like, who the hell is this? Like, I was like, yeah, I'll be right, it's over there, hang on, I gotta go. Like, and then that kid got yelled at. And, like, she was just like, why, what are you, he's like, did you ask him why he was there? It's like, well, I mean, security, like, made me go in there. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, oh, excuse me, I don't think I belong in here. Please make this hard and weird for me so I have to stand in the rain, try to go back up the other way to go to the bathroom. Like, no, oh, yeah, you're the boss. In I go. And I just, like, acted like it wasn't weird at all or anything. And then, like, whatever, I found Alexis and we sat in our spot. She told the fucking Wooks to shove over and, like, yeah, like, we watched Chromeo and it was good. And then, yeah, getting out there was, like, no traffic. We just kind of, like, drove on these, like, cool dark roads until we, like, went through the city and got back to the little town and got back to the freeway and just went home and, like, watched cartoons on Adult Swim for a while and smoked weed in the hotel room.
Yeah, because it's legal.
Yeah. And I did, again, I'm not the biggest weed guy, but I'm always a proponent of, like, and I'll wrap it up on this before we get to Dear Asshole, that I like it a lot better when I know exactly what I'm getting, find something I like, and can just get it again. Like, that's like, I got this stuff that was like a 1-to-1, it was like an oil because I didn't want flowers they would have noticed in the hotel room. So it's like, I got this thing, and it was like a 1-to-1 THC CBD mix, and it was like this kind of indica, and then like it was CBD and CBN, which is the sleepy time. I've had CBN gummies here, and they actually do knock me out. I was eating those by the handful, and I was just in a coma the whole time I had COVID. It actually was pretty helpful. Regular CBD wouldn't have done me as well. But it has that in it, so it's like this perfect no-anxiety, sleepy time weed stuff, and I was just like, cool, I'm going to check out. It really takes the place of that fifth cocktail, and you wake up feeling a lot better. But yeah, and that's that. A whole bunch of other stuff happened, but I'll just... Meow Wolf is cool, blah, 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 blah. But, like, I'm not here to tell you how much fun things are. I'm here to complain. And I've had a lot bottled up since we haven't been doing these.
Right.
And I had to get it all out. But I think I still have a little bit left for our friends at Dear Asshole, who I don't think are real people. See, I like your theory about those stupid, like, they should have been opening for Broken Side fucking DJ chicks that were on this, like, show that didn't make any sense. I like the idea of them being the Dear Asshole sisters, but I think it's AI. I think it's an algorithm or some sort of psyop.
No, I mean,
it just can't
Chris
be real.
had it. Chris nailed it. It was.
Yeah, I was like, do you think this was written by a person?
Well, just as we go on further in this book, I think it's gonna prove more and more that that's just kind of what it is, because it's just not funny. Not funny.
Yeah. You're a real humanitarian. I don't think he's human. All right. It's time to do this. Dear Asshole, and I don't have to explain it again. You want to talk about elitism, bitching about people who bag your groceries.
That's it.
Dear Contagious Asshole, we have not done that, right?
No.
Okay.
What's the other one that you just folded?
The one I was just talking about, Dear Asshole, who bag my groceries?
Oh, we did that. Yeah, that was the last one.
Not rocket science. Oh, these people disgust me. Let's just get through this.
Let's do it.
So, Dear Contagious Asshole, excuse me. Starting anything with that. Nobody said excuse me in that way to me the whole trip, even in the airport, even at Meow Wolf was crowded, even at a concert. And I was like, excuse me, not once. Because educated, wealthy people do not talk like that. Fucking awful sacks of crap that belong in a trailer park, too. Excuse me, but why the hell are you here again? You've been blowing your nose for 3 hours straight, and your nostrils are pinker than a Playboy bunny's bedroom.
Oh, they could have gone so much better with that.
I was going to say a Playboy Playmate's butthole, because they really were ahead of the game in bleaching asshole.
Seriously.
Like, they were really on top of that wave of no one wants to see a woman's body part look like how it really does. They want it to look like a little bunny rabbit's nose. And that's where you put your dick in. Okay. So, whatever... You should be home getting intimate with a bowl of chicken soup, not subjecting us all to whatever mutant strain of bacteria you've got coursing through your veins. Yes, sick person, fuck you.
I mean, I kind of agree with this one. Like,
actually,
just stay home. Just stay home.
Yeah, the problem is, this one, I mean, it isn't funny or interesting at all. That's a problem. But, like, yeah, I guess outside of the context of the rest of this tome of just... hogwash. It seems like, people just being sick all over the place is really annoying.
This could be one of the real ones. You know how they had, maybe the thing.
Yeah, they had like 3 or 4.
5 real ones, and then AI the rest.
But you need to have 101 who ate all the pussy jokes to read on the toilet or like whatever. And then they let the computer write those by letting it look at Twitter or something. Just getting its ideas. Yeah. There's not enough Lysol to rid the air of whatever your last sneeze spewed out. And since I didn't wear a level 2 biohazard suit today, I'm probably going to get sick now too. Thanks a lot, you contaminated idiot. Concerned is their name. I don't know. P.S. I googled your symptoms and I think you may have the Ebola virus. P.P.S. I hope you have good insurance.
Wow. Hey, was this written before COVID or after COVID?
I keep not knowing when exactly this came out. Let's find out here.
Who
Acknowledgements.
wants to look through all this bullshit?
I don't want to read any of it. 3. Oh, there's a. Oh my God! Wait.
What?
There's like a phone number you can call. Ooh. Okay, it's a little late at night, but we're gonna do a special early. I didn't even look at this.
We'll do it next time.
Oh, 2011. This is old. So this can't be AI unless this is a lie.
Fuck.
No, it just sucks. It was a different time. That's before 2011 was before like the Karen trope on the internet was even a thing.
Oh yeah, huge.
That's like a 2014,
This is like
15. This is a
archaeological. When we changed universes, you know, the Mandela effect. This is before.
Yeah, this is actually like
4 times.
This is now. I don't like it, but it's a weird.
Oh my God, we took the mystery and we killed it.
No.
We killed it.
Oh, we didn't do anything because we're about to call that phone number on the next podcast and get to the bottom of this. Now, I still don't think these people are real. I still don't think that like the thing in the back where it just says they have many websites and blogs and good reviews on
thing
all.
Comes back. That was my theory of just like it's a bunch of like
what
people who got the R.L. Stein thing. It's like a bunch of writers that just like got paid to and they threw it all together.
R.L. Stein's not a person?
It's a bunch of different writers. Yeah.
How do you know that?
That's what somebody told me.
Was it R.L. Stein?
No.
Or was he hiding? Was he?
It's like a publication.
So R.L. Stein isn't a person.
Oh wait, yes they are.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
What the fuck are you thinking? Well, okay, but is somebody
said that R.L. Stein was like a
conglomerate of just not real people?
Okay.
Does everybody think this about every book they read? Why does this just come up with so many things? Like, oh yeah, the Dear Asshole writers aren't real. And you know who else isn't? R.L. Stein. Stephen King isn't real.
Somebody told me that it was a couple of different writers.
Wait, did I tell you that?
No.
Because I would have been making that up.
No. It was not you.
Okay, all right, fine.
Oh, but he's known as other names, so.
Oh yeah, everybody does that. Like even
he's got like
Stephen King had Richard Bachman and.
Okay, but so I see where whoever
Ben
originally
Hargrove.
told me that made the mistake. Okay, I'm glad I looked.
Who told you this? Who mistook a famous writer writing under a few pen names as they're a fake conglomeration? They are legion on Earth. R.L. Stein.
Fake conglomeration. They were just like.
Well, no, but then it's not a real
authors.
guy. No, but that's not the same thing. Like like. He's not many authors. He just wrote some different books under different names. It doesn't mean that he's like a Borg collective or something that just goes by R.L. Stein. That's like a long, weird leap of whoever said that. Did Little Nicky tell you that shit?
No.
That sounds like one of her things.
No,
like, you know that R.L. Stein's actually a group of 10 people? Like,
no, it was not Little Nicky.
Okay.
So.
And we're sure it wasn't me?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I wouldn't always know if you were fucking with me, but this person was definitely not fucking with me.
Wow.
So.
They're so dumb that they must be the real author of Dear Asshole.
The Reverend John Wheeler podcast takes zero responsibility for the words, actions, or ideas of its host, guests, or listeners. Though the people on the screen may at times be speaking directly to you and may occasionally give you direct calls to action, neither Reverend John nor the Alchemical Cocktail Lounge are under any moral or legal obligation to answer for the potentially disastrous repercussions that may arise if you are stupid enough to actually follow the orders of a raving lunatic. Think for yourself and do whatever you want, because you're on your own. If anyone ever tries to sue this podcast podcast, black SUVs will converge on your location in the darkness of night and you will never be seen again. Remember to like and subscribe.